Warnings really starting to pop up.
Yeah.
We have a warning that just came in that's moving towards Louisville Metro. Right now, Louisville is not under that severe thunderstorm warning, but this storm is intensifying. We'll hold together, and at some point, you need to seek shelter around Louisville, Harrison County, Clark, Jefferson, Scott County, Trimble County in Indiana under a severe thunderstorm warning. Take us through some more, Katie.
So the one that's interesting that you just mentioned, the most recent one of Clark, Jefferson, and Trimble, that one has the tag tornado possible.
Areas like Dixie, Webster, all in that tornado warned box. And let me show you some locations that I think you need to take that tornado safety precaution in the near future. Dogwood, you have about 5 minutes from now. Webster, 8 minutes. Elizabeth, 15 minutes. Greenwood, 22. And in a neighborhood of 25 to 30 minutes or so, areas like PRP, you need to be on guard. You need to find that safe place, get down there, and stay there until we can give you the all clear. So here's the tornado warning again. It will last for another 30 to 45 minutes or so. 2:45 is the exact time when it will be allowed to expire, but you have to think ahead. These storm systems, they're just getting going. We have a long ways to go.
They're all rotating, they're all hail makers, and they all have the tag tornado possible. So while we have one tornado warning, they all are something that we should be watching.
Rick and I have noticed something, that rotation in the last minute or two starting to wrap up a lot more. Yep. Rick, you want to go over to the wall so you can point it out and show everyone how that broad rotation is getting smaller and smaller coming together, which is a bad thing.
Yeah, that's actually the opposite direction of what we want to see. We'd like it to broaden out and spread.
It's looking more like a tornado.
Yeah, what we call this is a little couplet where the greens and the reds come together and it starts to wind up and kind of like a top, spin a little bit. You know, if you take like a pen and put it in your hands and you spin it like that, you kind of get that rotating sense, and that's exactly what occurs in the atmosphere. And just as Jude pointed out, in the past couple minutes, we saw a burst of wind, and all that allowed it to do was accelerate forward and spin everything around.
That could be a debris ball right there. I mean, this thing is wrapped up. That could very well have some debris embedded in it right there.
Jude, I think you got it right in the money there. I think we do have a debris ball there.
I would say we have a tornado on the ground. There's no doubt about that. When you're finding that, that is actually showing the indication of debris being lofted up into the air as this tornado, as we're going to go on and call this a tornado on the ground, moving towards New Middletown. There is no denying this. Elizabeth, you are going to be way too close to this particular cell as it moves off to the east-southeast. I mean, it could be a mile or two north of right in Elizabeth, Indiana, north of the Horseshoe Casino. Way too close. You need to get everyone to a safe place right now. If anyone's listening over around Horseshoe Casino, hundreds of people there, you need to get into a safe place, shut things down, take every kind of precaution that you can, and then we need to be ready to do that into Jefferson County. This thing is a beast. Wrapped up, major hail there, and then debris being noted on the radar. That's most likely not rain. That's most likely tree limbs, shingles, things like that being picked up by this tornado. I believe we have some video of that tornado when it was on the ground out near Webster and New Amsterdam, and there it is. There's your confirmation. We've heard people saying they've seen the tornado. There's been significant damage, and that is a large, destructive tornado. We were estimating winds up to around 100 miles per hour. That was on the radar as you looked maybe 1,000 or 2,000 feet off the ground. Very often you can get even stronger winds right down at ground level. This was the one that prompted the tornado emergency that we were calling, as there was a tornado on the ground moving just south of Interstate 64. So there's some video proof. And Rick, you mentioned earlier the kind of destruction that was being reported. Some serious things here, knocked over, homes knocked down. This isn't your run-of-the-mill kind of weak tornado.
No, and I'm going to read this off, and honestly, I hate even to say things like this. I mean, it hurts your heart a little bit. Honestly, areas like New Middletown and just south of Cordon, significant damage. Trees were uprooted, power lines knocked to the ground, houses completely demolished. That's tornado damage, without a doubt. Homes demolished, destroyed. You can kind of see now, it's tough there. I mean, I hope that family's okay, the one who lives in that home, but there are trees down all around that, smushed to the ground. It's almost like a big foot came down and just stepped right on that area. And you can see how they're all spread out in that motion, people wandering around. And I mean, you really have to feel bad for those people looking around the area right now. I'm glad to see that people are okay. Hopefully everyone made it out of there.
We're on Lake Road in New Middletown, and this is probably one of the hardest hit areas that we've seen so far. I want to step out of the way so you can take a look at just how bad the damage is here. This is a shed, or it was a shed, and the roof of the shed is gone. I talked to a family member, the person who lives here, and they said they have no idea where it is. You can see debris everywhere in the backyard. There are also a number of really big trees down in this yard. That's the case up and down Lake Road here in New Middletown. Take a look inside the shed. This is the back part. There was a tractor and a truck in here. They're still here. But again, the roof is gone and they have no idea where it is. I'm going to go over and talk to Rob Stewart. Okay, I just heard somebody say it's in your front yard, sir? The roof. Next door neighbor says it's in there. This is your nephew's home. When you got here, what was going on?
Well, they were trying to find things and move things, trying to find a roof for one.
Yeah. This looks pretty bad, but luckily no one was hurt.
Correct. No, nobody was home at the time. They were at work, so everybody's fine.
And I know you work for NDOT. You're not on the clock right now, but you were calling family members, telling them to take cover.
Yes. I seen it on Facebook, and I switched to the news channel, and they said the tornado was down. Confirmed down on the ground, so I was starting to call my mom, which lives about 2 or 3 miles away from here, and she was already in the basement.
Dramatic video likely of the tornado near New Middletown this afternoon and how dangerous these storms really were. You can see it as it was coming down and forming, how large the cloud is and how much smaller the tornado is, and that's what's caused all of that damage. And then we have one more of a hail too. Wow. If you scan over.
Look at that rotation.
That's crazy.
Goodness. Yeah, that was such large hail from the storm. We've gotten so much of that.
Okay, so we found a lot more damage here in New Middletown. We're still on Lake Road. Behind me, you can see some siding. It looks like it's either from a shed or a barn or somebody's home. And then down the street a little bit more, crews are already here cutting down some of the trees. But remember that shed we saw, the garage we saw earlier, and the top was missing? We found it. Turns out it was in the neighbor's yard. I'm going to bring them in. Brad and Mary Leuenberger lived next door. They were not home at the time. They were actually out on the road. They just returned from their honeymoon. Brad, I'll bring you in here. Tell me, what were you doing when the storm hit?
Well, we was in court and then was coming back from court in the store, and we could see it drop down out of the field over back there. And then we just got here as fast as we could. Got our friends here, there's family, and had them come in our basement. And by the time we got in the basement, got the dog and the cat down there, the freight train started.
Right, everybody talks about the sound. What did you guys hear?
Like a train.
It sounds like a train.
A train.
If you're standing next to railroad tracks and a train's going by. Even the rumble.
And you believe you actually saw the funnel?
No, we did.
We didn't believe. We
it comes
seen
straight out of the sky.
We watched it. After I got all them inside, I come back outside, and we watched it. I watched the funnel cloud coming straight this way.
And you guys have a lot of damage to your home. I'll get photographer Vince Mullen, if you can show the big tree that hit your house. When you were inside, I know you guys took cover in the basement and pulled some other folks in as well, but you could still hear the damage?
Oh, yeah.
You could hear the train and you could hear everything hitting the house. You could hear things inside the house shaking.
I expected to come upstairs in the top part or to come out in my top part of my house gone. Thank God it wasn't.
All right, and it is a mess here, but what made you know that you could come out, that everything was okay?
I peeked out the basement door and seen blue skies like that.
And that noise was gone.
And the noise was gone.
Yeah,
the freight train was gone. And I seen blue skies, and I just eased out a little bit more. And the wind and everything was gone.
How scary was that to be in a car and see that tornado, the funnel in the air?
Terrifying.
It was terrifying.
It was terrifying. I screamed and yelled at him, drive faster, and started calling our neighbors to tell them to hit the basement.
I mean, because the rumor is you get in a ditch, right? Well, what happens if that'll suck you out of the ditch? I don't want to be like Dorothy.
Yeah, but you could hear it from your basement, but no one was hurt.
Nobody around here is hurt so far, is what the sheriff just told me.
All right, I know you guys are still trying to assess the damage. Thanks so much for talking to us again.
Problem.
It is a mess over here. There are some areas that only have debris in the yards, but as you saw, their house, Brad believes that it is destroyed. Reporting live from New Middletown, I'm Stephon Johnson, WDRB News.
Radar indicating quite a bit of rotation with that particular storm. And like we keep saying, this is in an area that has not seen any rain. You have not seen any thunderstorms. The northern extent of that tornado watch box has been trimmed because you just got drenched with so much rain. What it does basically is it takes that cup, think of a cup full of water, that's our fuel, right? Just dumps it out. So now there's no fuel up there, nothing left for those thunderstorms, but the cup is still full down here.
It's ready to go.
It's ready to go, ready to drink, and unfortunately this is the storm saying I'd like a little sip of that. It has so much energy to work with, so that's why it's kind of trying to get its act together.
You can see what looks to be like a funnel coming down. She'll pan left again in just a second, so hold on. Tough to see, though, with that tree line, if anything's actually making contact with the ground. But it does confirm to us that there's rotation inside of that storm that we were just watching. Again, there's juice there. There's power in that storm, and it is rotating. It's just a matter of whether this is touching the ground or not, whether it's doing any damage or not. So thank you, Susan. Thanks to everybody that's been sending in pictures and videos.
Hannah Strong's going to take us with some storm tracking as we look at the severe thunderstorm, the tornado warning moving into Bloomfield right now.
Right, Jude. I mean, you can clearly see this hail core. There's no question about where this is. Hail core, and we're also seeing, you notice some rotation inside of that. So the bright purples, the bright pinks are telling us hail up to 2 inches in diameter. 1.5 inches in diameter, where you see those like lighter blue colors. This is large, damaging golf ball size hail. You need to be inside in your safe place right now. Anytime we see hail of any size, it's not safe to be outdoors. So go inside, go to your safe place now. We're not just seeing the incredible hail sizes either. This is a powerful storm. The number of lightning strikes just inside of this box, more than 300. This is coming down just a tick from where it was a few minutes ago, but still this storm packs so much energy. We're still seeing that large hail core inside of it. We're still seeing some rotation as well. This was just about 5 or 10 minutes ago that he sent this in. Definitely a rotating wall cloud, and you can see that wall cloud starting to descend. Also on the right side of your screen, you can see the tail coming out of that. So these are all features that we're seeing on radar. And again, this was about 5 or 10 minutes ago that Tom sent this video in, but it confirms to us exactly what's showing up on radar, and it of course supports why that tornado warning was issued. Also, incredible sized hail coming from this storm. Baseball sized hail falling from this storm in Nelson County. So 2 threats here, incredible damaging hail, certainly the winds, and then this potential rotation. Stefan, what are you now seeing? What updates do you have for us?
Hey, we're still on Similar Road in New Middletown. It seems like every time we turn around, go a few feet, we find even more damage. We crossed the street here just a few minutes ago. You saw Mr. Archer's yard was full of debris and damage, and behind me you can see there's a lot of debris in the front yard. This is the home of Ben and Amy Waldo, but probably one of the worst parts of the damage for them is this camper. Amy, I know you were here with your children, but did you see what happened to your camper?
I didn't see what happened to the camper, but I heard a lot of noise, and my mom called, and I had grandparents calling worried about the babies, so I heard hail hit the window, and that's when I ran downstairs and put the babies under the bed and just was worried about their safety.
Yeah, I know you were home with your 2 small children by yourself. Were you did you have any idea that it was a tornado, that something that strong was outside your home?
Yes, I did. When I looked out and I saw stuff flying in the air and how close the clouds were, and it was just circling, that was the scariest part.
Hey there, did you, when you say stuff flying in the air, what do you mean by that? What did it look like?
I saw limbs and leaves and, yeah, trees and stuff, so I knew it was getting bad. That's when I hit the basement. So.
And any damage to your home?
There's some damage. It broke some windows, some siding, some stuff on the back deck. It tore some gutters off, and it flipped our camper and our shed. And it actually took down the play set. It was scary.
All right, I know that's pretty scary for your family. Glad everybody is okay. I just want to step over here so you can see this camper has been turned upside down. Initially, I said it was on its side, and my photographer, Vince Vermeulen, as we got closer, he said, no, it's been turned all the way upside down, so you can see the wheels are pointed to the sky, and there's a lot more around here. This is pretty heavy, similar to what we have seen in the past when a tornado comes through a town. Reporting live from New Middletown, I'm Stefan Johnson, WDRB News.
And here's a look at the right-hand side of your TV screen. I mean, just take a look at some of that damage there. That is our drone in Cordon right now along Highway 135, showing extensive damage to what appears to be some crops. You see someone's home there, things tossed about all across the yard, people gathering, probably just saying, what happened here? What is going on? Getting some help. The neighbors are there. A tarp is out. They're trying to put it on that roof, which has been completely destroyed on the right-hand side of that house. Again, this is Highway 135 in South Cordon, where they're trying to salvage and get that home covered up, because here's the deal, and they are really smart in doing this. They're trying to cover things up quickly while they can, because they know that there could be more showers and storms flaring up later in the day. So they're trying to at least put something up there, the tarp with some 2x4s on it, to prevent any sort of downpours from coming into their home and causing more damage. So there's a shot from Cordon, which is just heartbreaking. And if you look on the left-hand side, that's a garage. You can see inside the garage. I mean, the roof is completely gone. And then that shed in the back, torn to shreds. You can see everything that was inside one of those sheds is now back in that field behind them. You feel really bad for that family just watching them trying to pick up the pieces of their life and put it back together after being struck by what was a tornado in that area. Really, really stunning footage we're getting right now from this drone just above their home. You look inside the garage where you can kind of see some pieces of tin where maybe that was a part of the roof that came down. Thankfully, there are some people out there trying to help them. This is the time when people really come together and show their true spirit and help their neighbors, help their friends, help their family. We're sort of doing a 360 around this entire house. And what was really, really devastating is all that stuff which has been tossed and launched hundreds of feet from the home all the way out into that field. And the front edge of that house really took the brunt of that storm.
Just about every house on this street has been affected by some sort of damage. They're either big trees down, and this is one of the most bizarre scenes that we've seen so far. This looks kind of like what you'd see on television in a movie when a tornado comes through. We're walking up to Ben and Amy Waldo. They live here on Similar Road. Amy was home with the two small children when the tornado hit, and Ben just got home. First of all, Amy, this was pretty scary for you, right?
Yes, it was pretty scary. Once I found out what was going on, it was pretty scary.
And Ben, you were on the job. You got the call. What did your wife say to you, and what were your thoughts?
She said to get home now, and unfortunately, it was on our twins' birthday today. So this is their third birthday.
And those severe storms left significant damage in southern Indiana. About 20 homes were damaged in Harrison County. That's according to Indiana State Police. Fortunately, though, no serious injuries. WDRB Stefan Johnson tonight shows us one of the hardest hit areas. Stefan.
We're on Lake Road in New Middletown. Behind me, an example of the widespread damage. This house is missing a roof, and just about every home we've seen in this area has some sort of damage, and some of the homeowners even saw the tornado as it was closing in on them.
It was in Cordon and was coming back from Cordon, the store, and we could see it drop down out of the field over back there.
Friday afternoon, Brad and Mary Leuenberger saw a tornado twisting and turning above Harrison County and even heard the dreaded sound. What did you guys hear?
Like a train.
It sounds like a train.
A train.
If you're standing next to railroad tracks and a train's going by. Even the rumble.
The couple took cover in their basement while the storm pounded their home on Lake Road in New Middletown. This is what used to be the family room.
It sounded like it took the whole top level off my house. Just a crash. And you could hear just like the walls breathing almost.
Just around the corner on Similar Road, the damage is just as bad.
I heard hail hit the window, and that's when I ran downstairs and put the babies under the bed. And
Amy Waldo was home with two small children and heard the storm closing in.
when I looked out and I saw stuff flying in the air and how close the clouds were, it was just circling. That was the scariest part.
No one was hurt, but the damage is everywhere, and the family's camper was even turned upside down.
And it flipped our camper and our shed, and it actually took down the play set. It was scary.
According to Harrison County officials, at least 20 homes have been damaged by the storm, but I'm guessing that number is going to go up in the next couple of hours, the next couple of days. We also have one report of a minor injury to a local firefighter. Reporting live from Harrison County.
Serious weather in our area on this Friday, storms and even some tornadoes. This is WDRB Skycam video from Harrison County, Indiana. Trees down in New Middletown, homes damaged, residents left picking up.
Just as we pulled into the driveway, I said, look at how the leaves are spinning around in a circle, and the leaves, and it started to be limbs and everything, and I said, Mark, we're in a tornado. And as soon as I pulled in the garage, the top of a tree hit the garage, and then I could just see trees and just hear it, and the trees were like spinning, ripping off.
Some scary stuff. Around 20 homes were damaged when storms rolled through Harrison County this afternoon. WDRB's Sarah Sidery is live at the New Middletown Fire Department, where they just wrapped up a press conference. Sarah, what'd they have to say?
Yeah, we just learned a few minutes ago that no one died and there were no major injuries when the tornado hit earlier this afternoon. We want to go straight to some pictures of the damage here in Harrison County. We're told that the only reported injury from this storm was a firefighter who slipped and hurt his knee. Otherwise, first responders are very thankful that no residents were hurt, especially given that around 20 homes or buildings in this area were damaged. Right now, the county is in the process of finding a shelter for any displaced families. Emergency management tells us a couple of tornado sirens were down when the storm hit. Others across the county were sounding. Tonight, state police are telling people to stay away from the damaged areas.
The whole story and the good news of today is nobody died. Nobody is seriously hurt and no one died. So that's the good news out of the bad tragedy that happened today. What we want people to know is that all of the roads are open. There should not be any roads that are closed. If someone comes across the roadway that has a tree across, that has electric line down or whatever it is, get on the phone and dial 911. Obviously know where you're at so we can get emergency personnel out there to take care of everything.
And state police say that extra officers will be out tonight ready to respond in case another round of storms rolls through. For now, reporting live in Harrison County, Sarah Sidery, WDRB News. I'm standing in a cornfield in New Middletown where you can see this tornado flattened everything in its path. A sobering sight after a storm.
When I came down the road and made it to the open view, basically all I could do was cry.
Moments before, this was the view in New Middletown, a tornado making its way in.
Disbelief. Did this really just happen?
Next to the cornfield, Leslie McPhillips arrived home to this.
We do have lots of damage. We have a totaled vehicle, lots of trees down.
The tornado put a hole in her garage and snapped trees just feet from her home.
You can already hear chainsaws. We already had wonderful people coming over, Maria and Buddy. They've already been here with their chainsaws. My husband's still a little in shock. He has a big hole in his garage, so he's just going to assess it for a while and start cleaning up probably tomorrow.
Across this small town, neighbors are helping neighbors.
The majority of everyone in the community, we have all grown up here. Our parents grew up here. So yes, we're all like one big family. One big family, and everyone will help everyone.
Some need more help than others.
It sounded like it took the whole top level off my house. Just a crash, and you could hear just like the walls breathing almost.
The tornado caused this tree to crash through this family's living room.
Sounds like a train.
A train.
If they're standing next to railroad tracks and trains going by. Even the rumble.
Despite the destruction, no one died and no one was seriously hurt. And neighbors say that's the biggest blessing.
What could have been? What could have been? We were blessed. It could have been bad. And we were blessed.
Sarah Sidery, WDRB News.
And just down the road from there, the tornado in New Middletown carved a path of destruction right between two houses.
We spoke with a homeowner who was pulling into her garage when the twister hit.
It was just like, I can't really tell you exactly because I was praying louder than the noise. But there was so much spinning.
Above Pleasure Ridge Road in Harrison County, the WDRB Skycam shows the path of a tornado's destruction. Roofs ripped off barns, the debris scattered across acres, massive trees uprooted. As you head west, a roof completely torn off this garage. And across this cornfield lives Susan Phillips.
I live right there, and my mother and stepfather live here.
Right between their two homes, the tornado tore through.
It started to hail as we were coming home, and just as we pulled into the driveway, I said, look at how the leaves are spinning around in a circle. And the leaves, and it started to be limbs and everything, and I said, Mark, we're in a tornado.
With only seconds to act, they took shelter in their garage.
And as soon as I pulled in the garage, the top of a tree hit the garage. So like I said, we just pulled in the driveway and pulled into the garage when the trees started falling. So we just stood there, and then I could just see trees and just hear it, and the trees were like spinning, ripping off.
All things considered, the Phillips were lucky. Just damage to the roof, garage, and back porch of their house, downed trees and damaged siding at her parents'.
There's my mom and stepdad. They weren't home when it happened.
Everyone is okay.
I'm a minister, and I was just praying. I was just standing in the garage as it was going around. Everything was spinning. I was just praying.
And you can see much more of the damage caused by the tornado and the storms. We posted a slideshow of images on WDRB.com.